morning. Welcome to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. That sparkling radio talk show that has everybody running to their radios this morning at 8:15 so they won't miss a word that Judy has to say. Instead of the regular kudo, I'd like to take a serious minute, just a minute, if I may, listeners out there. The other day, the community lost a great lady, Mrs. Leon Viva Apple, and I'd just like to take a minute to pay a little tribute to Mrs. Apple. She was a great lady, had a wonderful family, and she and Leon made a tremendous impact while they were active in the ministry here at Christian Church here. So let's all remember the Apple family, and maybe find it time to make a little contribution to whatever their favorite charity was, and Bill doesn't know. Let's get serious now. Well, that's serious enough. We don't have to worry about that being serious. Why don't you introduce our guest this morning? This gentleman has given of his professional time. That's also his pocketbook since he's taken time out.
See there?
Yeah.
And he's a nice man.
Yes, he is.
Dr. Jason Wrage.
Logan Boy made good.
Yes, another Logan Boy made good. Is with Greenhaven and Best Friends Animal Clinic. And they're in Williamsville, Sherman, and Lincoln. And they've been around a long time and do a very good job for those of us who have pets or big commercial operations, and we're going to talk about both. Let's start with the 4th of July, since it's here.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Yes, and you were saying that that's kind of a hard time for your dog as he's out in the yard doing his thing, and all of a sudden, bing, bang.
Even confined dogs like out here at Best Friends, they pick that up.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, thank you for that nice introduction. I appreciate it, being on here again and getting to talk to both of you, and congratulations on your degree this spring. I saw that on the news, and it was exciting to see, and I don't know if it's a Guinness World Record or not, but I definitely think you should apply for that. So I enjoyed seeing that. But yeah, you're correct. This weekend's 4th of July weekend, Independence Day, and a lot of opportunity to get out and celebrate, to have a good time. A lot of people like to light off some fireworks. I have a few friends that seem like that's their specialty. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit for your pets at home, and kind of things that you can look out for, and things that you might be able to call us about that we could help you with to help make it a little easier time on them. So...
Well, there's no question we've all seen episodes, and particularly in your profession, you see it a lot more. But there are some people and some dogs can get hurt because the poor dogs don't know what the heck they're doing. They're frightened out of their wits, and they do strange things. So it never occurred to me that could be a problem for veterinarians, but I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Yeah, certainly. And we see kind of two different things happen over the weekend. One is that, the stress from the fireworks and the animals that either try to escape or get loose, or, are not comfortable when that's going on. Then the other thing too is a lot of parties and get-togethers, and certain dogs like to get into things they're not supposed to, and then you see some GI issues later in the week from that. So you definitely want to watch out if you're having a big party and you've got that dog that's a little bit sensitive, because especially with COVID, we haven't been getting together as much over the last year, and I think a lot of people are starting to have a few more get-togethers and parties, and they may have forgot that Fluffy likes to get into the trash when nobody's looking, and that can be a real problem for those guys. So just being aware of that's going to be important as well. But no, for the fireworks, a lot of dogs, it's that bang, that percussion. They sense that, they detect it, they're not sure what's going on. And if you've ever had a pet that's been nervous after fireworks or during that type of activity, you can you notice a lot of the stress that they're under for that.
What can you do about something like that, especially if it's somebody else's fireworks, like the neighbor next door?
There's a lot of different things you can do, from starting at home, just confining them to an interior room where they're not going to notice the noise as much.
More comfortable.
Right, where they're comfortable. turning the radio on or TV on, if they're used to that, to kind of make some background noise, can be a useful tool as well. And some of those dogs or cats even will tolerate that. Then you kind of step up to the next one. There's a couple of organic supplements or natural supplements that you can use. Zilkeen's one, and the Thunder shirts that some people have for their pets, and that can certainly be a nice tool as well. So
that Thunder shirt business, I've heard about that, but it really didn't gel in my head. Can you talk just a second about those?
They're just designed to provide some light compression to the dog or the cat, depending on what you're dealing with. And it works in a percentage. Usually, if you see, not every dog's going to respond to that, but if your dog does, it's nice to not have to use a medication to get them under control. But just that kind of that compressing feeling on their hair coat or their fur coat or their skin is enough to just help keep them at ease a little bit, and it may just distract them just enough too that they're less worried about the noise.
I've been in a closet too long. I didn't know. Tell me, what is this Thunder shirt?
Oh, a Thunder shirt. It's just like a we'll call it a jacket that slips over the dog and Velcro's tight on them, and they're really designed. A straight
jacket kind of thing.
A straight jacket that they can move in, yeah. So we don't want to. But yeah, a similar principle where you're just trying to provide some compression. They can still walk around. They can eat. It's just like a real tight kind of spandex type of outfit.
Are those available for wives?
Oh dear.
I'll probably just leave that on the mic there.
You might start a business out there, Doctor, selling those things.
You're going to get me in trouble out here, Mr. Gossett.
We're skating close enough now. Doctor, you mentioned the word COVID, which reminds me of what, it's been such a serious matter. Parvovirus, is that the name of that?
That is the name of a virus, yes.
Yeah. Would that be something like in a similar type thing for animals?
It definitely is. I would say that parvovirus, from a relative percentage of infected and potentially fatal cases, would be in the dog world a much more severe experience.
I see. Well,
a majority of dogs under a year that are exposed to the virus will get extremely sick, and a good percentage will die. And then I don't want to get into the technical aspects, but the parvovirus is definitely a more robust and resilient virus in the environment, where it can be in the soil and organic compounds for 6 months to a year. So.
Well, it's a real serious matter. I know we lost a Springer. We used to have Springers. It was my dad and I we liked Springers, and I remember my mother so vividly doing a special diet.
Yep.
For our dog.
Yep.
And I can see that in my mind's eye yet.
Really?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It left an impression, didn't it?
And that dog lived.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. There's a good percentage of them will pull through, but it is. It is a pretty serious thing that we can vaccinate for, and we start vaccinating at 8 weeks of age.
There is a vaccination.
Yep, for parvo, and so that's a pretty common vaccine, and one of the core ones that we start at a really young age. And so, and that's one of the things, bringing them in, calling us if you have a pet with questions. Definitely, we've got a lot of tools we can help you protect your pet with. So, helping you guys keep your pets safe is important. And if we go back to the fireworks, if you have a dog, if you do have a dog that thunder, fireworks, things like that, really sets them off, makes them nervous. They're panting, they're yawning is actually a really common sign of stress in a dog. So if you see a dog yawning, that means they're actually really nervous. And so we have some different levels of medications that are anxiety pills that we can use to help reduce the stress on your dog over the weekend. And so oftentimes administering something 2 to 4 hours before a storm or before the fireworks in the evening, if you know that you're going to have some issues over the weekend, using something like that. There's a lot of good short-term options that we can use to help you guys keep your pet more comfortable at home during the big holiday weekend.
Dogs are just like people in that respect, aren't they? Some are affected very negatively.
Yep, there's definitely
by
a
things.
bell-shaped curve, and the really severe ones, definitely need some prescription strength medication. And if you do have one of those dogs getting us called today or tomorrow, not wait till Saturday morning is going to be a smart thing to do, because
Yeah.
it'll be a rush there right before the end. So.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Wrage is a product of University of Illinois Veterinary School. And your training over there, did they have a stupid dog owner 101 course that you have to take? Because I'm certain that in the course of your profession, you run into that about almost daily. People get a little silly about our pets. We just do. I'm not a cat person, but I know a lot of people are, and I just shake my head because I'm not a cat person. But nonetheless, they're certainly a very viable pet for a lot of people. You have any problems? What is your the greatest breed problem that you would have in let's say, for instance, in dogs? Is there one breed over another that is susceptible to more things?
I would say, definitely we did have some classes at vet school on interaction with clients, with the owners. And then a lot of it is, our goal is to educate, right? Our goal is to help say, these are the things that we can do to help you take care of your pet, or these are the things you need to watch for. And certain breeds do have issues. I don't know, other than, I don't know that one breed has any bigger problems than another. They all kind of present with different issues. And so if you're going to have a dachshund, you better be aware of what back problems look like. If you have a Labrador, like I have at home, be aware of them not eating things they're not supposed to that could cause an obstruction, and watching their legs and joints for arthritis and issues like that. And then certain dogs are more prone to allergies. And so there's definitely a broad spectrum of animals with issues. And sometimes you'll see something referred to as if you get like a mixed breed dog, that you might not have the issues with. And sometimes that's the case, and sometimes it's not. We certainly have a lot that do have, carry whatever that parent had, that genetic line had, can be an issue that's been passed along. And so in general, whether you have a Labrador or a Shepherd or a Pit or a Chihuahua, they all have their own little idiosyncrasies that we need to keep an eye on. And that's where bringing them in on a regular basis, and we can watch and keep an eye on them and monitor them.
How about a mixed breed? I think actually that's when my kids were growing up, we'd have mixed breed dogs.
Sure.
And just because their mother was frisky or whatever, and so then they were there. Now, would you have a greater chance of their having these anomalies, or would they
It
maybe...
still really depends on just what the parents had on that. If we don't need to get into genetics and independent segregation of chromosomes, but depending on what that dog, you may have 10 puppies in a litter, and 2 of them look like the mom, 2 of them look like the dad, and the rest are kind of in between. And so you just never know for sure. And so
Right, it's a shirky toot, isn't it?
there's a plethora of names right now for the different combinations.
I find it a great satisfaction for me, Judith, sitting here in this chair. I have a Logan County gentleman back here practicing in his community where he grew up. I find that a great deal of pleasure in realizing that he wanted to come home, in a manner of speaking. And you have a full staff out there at Best Friends, so if they don't need to worry about seeing a doctor about any time, because somebody's going to be on
That's
duty
correct.
out there at Best Friends.
Yep. We do have a full staff, and right now staffing is kind of an issue hiring. We just did hire a new vet, Dr. Allie Furr from Northern Illinois. She is a graduate from Iowa State, so Dr. Bill and Dr. George and myself are going to have to integrate her on the proper appreciation for the University of Illinois. But she did graduate from Iowa State, and she just started with us in June, and she's on training. But we do have 7 doctors out at our 3 locations, and We do offer emergency service for our clients in town, so if you do have an issue, you give us a call, and we're happy to kind of work something out, or at least have a conversation over the phone and kind of figure out what's best for your pet. So then go from there.
That should be a great deal of satisfaction, Mrs. Busby, for the pet owners to realize that that professional care is just a phone call away.
That's right. That's exactly right. To carry the animal thing just a little bit further to the other end, we have a lot of agriculture in this area, and some of the people are raising beef or pork animals.
Sure. Yeah.
And have pretty going businesses. Let's talk a little bit about those people.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, definitely. And if everybody remembers when COVID struck last spring, the kind of shortages that we experienced, and it did bring a new appreciation for locally raised protein products. And in Logan County, we have some great beef producers and some great pork producers that are distributing food throughout the county and shipping it. I have friends and acquaintances all over the country through undergrad and vet school that know people that are doing more of the farm to table kind of experience, where, for instance, right now I've got some beef in the freezer that was raised by a high school classmate of mine in Logan County here. It was processed at Atlanta, Logan County, and now it's in my freezer, and I pretty much know everybody that's ever touched that and had any dealing with it. And I think it gives you a different appreciation for for what you're doing and what you're consuming, and it also provides a little it may or may not be a little more expensive, but you know what you're getting, and you're supporting one of our local smaller producers. These aren't Atlanta Lockers, not a corporation. It's not JBS that we just saw the hacking with, on the meat products just a few months ago.
Right here in our own backyard.
Right. And there's a couple of great pork farms in town. I know Holsketters, I know Tri-Pork are both selling local beef, I think, or local pork, and I think you can get meat products over there at Mount Pulaski too, at their local meat at their new Market on the Hill cooperative that they have running.
Yeah, by the way, that nice store over there on the corner. By the way, speaking of support, this program is supported by sponsors. And once in a while, Mrs. Busby and I kind of get engrossed with our guest, and we say, ooh, we got to recognize the sponsors. Go right ahead, Mr. Wrage. Back live in the studios here with this Wednesday morning. Our program is Viewpoint. Our guest this morning, Dr. Jason Wrage, representing Best Friends Animal Hospital. I want to tell you, we've had some personal experience. Your dogs are going to get doggone good care out there. And I'm certain the same is true at San Jose, as they used to say.
Yeah.
and down here at Williamsville, Sherman. Dr. Wrage is a local gentleman who came back after his graduation from the University of Illinois Medical School, veterinarian school, I should say, which is veterinary medicine. That's the way it is. Dr. Wrage has been kind enough to give us a little time this morning. He's a busy guy. So let's talk about those pet owners who aren't much in the way of pet owners. They just think they have a dog and their responsibility is all they got to do is feed it and water it, and that's all. If you're going to have a pet, you got to take care of them.
Yep, that's definitely correct. There's definitely a lot of different things that to educate people on and to provide as services. Some of the basic things we've already talked about. Some of those basic core vaccines. Definitely. Spaying and neutering your pet is important. It's something that, there's a lot of propaganda about, and it's definitely a really good idea, and allows you to provide some, medical benefits while you do that. And so I think that's definitely something. We have changed a little bit on our timeline. Our guidance for a long time was 6 months or under, and some research evidence in some research articles out of UC Davis in California's vet school showed that maybe on certain breeds, Goldens, Shepherds, some other large breed dogs like that, actually waiting till they're a year old provides some structural benefit, because as you know, anybody with a Mastiff or a Golden or a large or giant breed dog like that, they're growing quite a bit still, and allowing that bone structure to kind of finish growing before we alter their hormones a little bit has been shown to be beneficial. So we're always trying to keep up to date with the latest information and try to, move our practice towards whatever technology or new research has shown that's best for your pet. And so definitely those types of things. Recently we've started adding a senior wellness panel and a wellness panel where we can do some blood work and check on your dog on an annual basis. We negotiated a contract with one of our companies to provide it at a discount for our clients. And so if you've got a dog that's in for routine vaccines, we can check a stool sample, check a urine, check heartworms, and check that red cell, that white cell, and that chemistry. And I tell you, I've been really surprised because we're checking dogs that we normally wouldn't, and we've discovered a lot of issues with dogs, underlying issues that we were able to help them with that we didn't anticipate. A lot of urinary tract infections in dogs that are pretty remarkable, and different, liver and kidney issues that we can help. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So getting started early on those things can definitely be important.
Go ahead, Judith. I had a question for Fornbridge. You go right ahead. You're on 50% of the show, so I have to be kind to her.
One thing that I found interesting that you said before we came in here was the business of the suicide rate among veterinarians having gone up exponentially.
Sure, yeah. It's there's definitely been an increase in the incidence of suicide rate, and that's something that as veterinarians we have to talk about and we have to be aware of, because as our profession grows and as we one of the things we happen to do is we happen to be siloed in our little practice, and we're focusing on working every day, and the awareness of that. That just research study a year and a half ago by Merck showed that the suicide rate is up to 2.5 times higher than average for certain categories of veterinarians. And so there is an initiative called Not One More Vet, and it's something that exists out there to kind of help veterinarians that are struggling and kind of help recognize that, hey, this is an issue. And the unfortunate thing is we have access to a lot of means to do that type of thing, and so we have to be aware of that, and we have to be responsible and talk about it and make sure that it's something that that we can keep an eye on and that we can help the people that need help in our profession. So
that's something that nobody ever give a thought to. I don't imagine the guy walking down County Road 2250 here would ever give a thought to that being a problem in any profession.
Sure.
But the real world says that's so. Doctor, you mentioned heartworms.
Yep.
Is that a very prevalent, is that a real serious problem for animals?
It can be. It's definitely in kind of the Tri-County area here, if you will. We have routinely heartworm dogs that are undergoing treatment. And the key to heartworms is the preventative that everybody's seen advertised or used on TV. And that's definitely something that we need to be, you need to be on top of. We offer an injection that lasts 6 months to help you keep your pet protected from heartworms, but they're simply just a worm in the bloodstream that is transmitted by mosquitoes.
You talk about injections,
Yep.
and that's so important. And I can remember in the days when we used to have a dog all the time.
Sure.
It was kind of like having another child. You had to keep track of that schedule too, because they had to have their certain inoculations at certain times, and you do keep up with that.
Exactly. Yep. There's a lot that goes into it. Anymore, what we use is a lot of computer programs to generate automatic reminders that get sent out to our customers and that remind them that, hey, this is due or that is due, and then we review those because life gets busy and things fall through the cracks, and our job and our goal is to enhance the lives of people and animals, and helping you take care of your pet and helping enhance its life and keep it from getting something that we could have prevented is important to us. So doing those reminders and saying, hey, yeah, this is Fluffy's due for this and we ought to get that done is important thing to do.
By the way, just a personal aside, not only to our veterinarians out there, Dr. Bill and his wife Kay, Jason, and your other doctor. I'm sorry, he went out somewhere in my mind. Your receptionists out there are just as important as the doctors back in the treatment rooms. And I would say that you're very lucky to have the people you have at your desk answering phones. We may have a possible caller. If so, doctor. No, it's not a caller, doctor. So in any event, I want to tip my hat in their direction. They're always very pleasant. Right. It's been a while since we've had a dog, so we haven't had that first-hand experience.
Well, you're welcome to come out anytime, and we'll be happy to chat. But yeah, we do have.
Don't get that needle out for me.
No, you don't need any shots, do you?
Yeah.
I had those COVID shots, and they went very well, thank you.
Yeah, good. No, we have some great employees, and we really are lucky to have the people we do working for us. But right now, as you've seen, last night we ate at Gazzardo's for dinner, my wife and I, and it was. They were really tight on employees, and they had signs that said, "Be prepared for a wait because
extra playing time this week.
Because there's not as many staff, and the ones that are there are working their rear ends off." And I think something that we see, and I think something that everybody should do, is take a little extra time to be patient and be appreciative of wherever you're at and those people are serving you, because I know we're not the only ones that are stretched thin, and right now I think just that extra thank you and that patience could go a long way.
Yeah, I just read a book that the former president, number 41, exhibited that same type of personality, appreciation for other people.
Sure.
And that's just a basic trait that people ought to remember every day.
Exactly.
Let's talk about acquiring pets. There are many ways one can do that. I'm not a fan of what was popularly known, and maybe for a better expression, pet mills, puppy mills, or whatever. This storefront place to buy your pets. You got a comment about that?
There's certainly a lot of different ways.
It's coming off the left field. So
yeah. No, there's definitely, that's all right. There's definitely a lot of different ways to acquire a pet, and I'm kind of open to whatever you do it with a plan, and do a little research and a little education. Whether that's a shelter that's adopted an animal that you can that's rescued something. Definitely our rescues and our shelters are places to go and to do that first line of kind of looking for a pet. We've had some, I can make a long list of great pets that came out of shelters and rescues and are great animals. If you are into a specific breed, or if if you're looking for something that's a little more unique, that's certainly okay as well. There's people that are very passionate and do a great job raising certain breeds of dogs, and put a lot of time, effort, and research into it, and just making sure that you're getting something from some place that cares and that does a good job and is just not in it for the money. And so I think that's an important consideration to look into, because there's right now there's a lot of puppies that have been acquired, and it seems like right now we're seeing a lot of different poodle mixes come on board, and some people are very passionate about that, kind of that appearance and that behavior and that characteristic, and they can be great dogs. But any dog is great at and especially if you take a lot of care and effort into raising it and training it, and taking care of its medical needs and its physical and mental needs as well.
But so regardless whether it's a purebred or just a dog, its behavior will reflect the way you've raised it.
There's certainly a lot to that. Yep, you're going to you're going to see a lot of certain traits. Your retrievers are going to do something. Your pointers are bred to do different things. Some dogs, hounds are bred to bark and run, and so everybody's kind of got a little bit of predestined, if you will, based on what their genetic lineage is. But at the end of the day, most dogs are a reflection of how they're raised, so to a certain extent there. So
some of the breeds, and Bill will tell you that his son had a pit bull that was just the best, most gentle dog, and then there are some that aren't. But is that a reflection of their upbringing as well?
Many times it is. Many times there's there's the the nature versus nurture discussion, and so a lot of times however you nurture that animal is going to be a reflection of that, but there is a little bit of nature that plays an element as well. So being aware of that, and then being intentional with your training and your raising of that pet. With a lot of people working from home over the last year and a half and acquiring a pet, a big concern is, are we going to start seeing some separation anxiety? Because if somebody's been home every day working from home for the last year, and now they've got to go back to the office for 8 to 10 hours a day, that could potentially be a stressor for your dog or cat. And so just being aware of that, and being intentional about easing into it before you have to. And
for eons, I don't think we ever considered the fact that a dog would be under some stress.
Sure.
Really?
And that's a big thing. Our clinics are all 3 fear-free certified, so we've all taken classes on identifying fear, anxiety, and stress in dogs. Really? And we
how does that usually manifest itself?
Kind of like we talked about earlier. The shaking, the panting, the yawning is definitely a sign. Destructive behavior at home for that dog that's been kind of is anxious because it's been at home with you for a year, and now suddenly you're at work 5 days a week, not at home. And so it can manifest in a lot of different ways, but being able to recognize that and being able to minimize it is important.
I think it ought to be marked, Mrs. Busby, that I know some people who yawn a lot at night. Is there a pill for that? Do I need to worry about what my wife is feeding me in the way of medication?
Well, I can't comment on that, but certainly, certainly for and that's one of the things we see in the training talks about is that dog that yawns. People think it's calm and tired and relaxed because that's how people are, but it's actually different for dogs. And so what we're interpreting one way is actually something entirely different for a dog. And so, that's a big thing. And at our clinic, being trained to recognize that and try to make that vet experience as comfortable as possible, through treats and through training and through repetitive visits and whatever necessary. So at all 3 of our locations, at our San Jose, our Lincoln, and our Sherman location, all 3 of those, we take that into consideration when you guys arrive.
Parasites, you always see ads for heartworm medications for dogs and so forth. How in the world do they get that?
Oh, there's different ways they can pick them up. Some parasites are transmitted from the mother to the puppy. Some parasites are picked up in the environment, in the soil, from other animals. The mosquito carries the heartworm disease. Fleas fleas.
And mosquitoes bite dogs?
Yep, mosquitoes bite dogs just like us. And
is that right?
Yep, they bite all animals. So any mammal, a mosquito's going to, and even birds, that's how West Nile is transmitted, is via mosquitoes from birds. And so that's why we'll see it show up every year when mosquito season pops up. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things, and we're really happy to talk to you and educate clients on why these things are good ideas. But you're correct, you see a lot of different information on dog foods and on on medications and that are advertised on TV. And so the one thing, I really don't think we have time to dive into that, but the one thing just to remember is if you're seeing lots of ads on TV, there's a lot of people trying to slice a pie as thin as they can.
Oh, sure.
That can, that just keep that in mind when you're shopping for your food or your preventative or whatever that is.
Now, how often do you suggest a pet owner takes their dog or cat to the veterinarian?
That's a great question.
Is it an annual visit or 6 months?
We recommend every 6 months. Obviously, depending on your pet, they age at different rates, and depending on the size of the dog, cats and small breed dogs can live 15, even 20 years in a rare occasion, versus your large and giant breed dogs, a 10-year-old Great Dane's a very old Great Dane. So there's a lot of difference. So, come into one of the clinics and, you can just give us a call and say, hey, what do you guys think? And, a lot of times you can look at them and say, oh, you're doing a great job. Fluffy's healthy and we'll see you in 6 months. And other times we can pick up or notice things and then it's nice too, if we're doing vaccines at one time and then a 6-month exam at another, perhaps we can take some samples from that lump and do different things that spread out the, allow for a little easier budgeting than doing everything all at one time, right? So,
I suspect, Doctor, that you would encourage all dog owners and pet owners, cats come under the same general category, I guess, take care of the dogs. We take care of our own skin. Who's to say that the dog wouldn't like to have that same attention? And I presume that that's part of your instructions as your clients go out the door with their pets. Brush them carefully and often.
Yep, definitely.
Some of us people still like to have dogs, but I don't want to get up at 6 in the morning to let my dog out, so I'm selfish in that department, so we're without a dog. But if you have a dog, you have responsibilities.
That's exactly right.
Letting him out at night is one of them, and getting him in the morning is one of them. And if you're not willing to do that, you ought not to have a dog.
Yep, there's a lot of work and responsibility that go into caring for any animal, and that goes back to our conversation earlier about our local protein producers, our ag guys that are out there and gals that are producing a safe product for us, and they do it not because they're millionaires at it, but because they love doing it and they love taking care of livestock and they love providing a product. So supporting those local guys is important, and being responsible. They're responsible, and then taking responsibility for your pets as well.
Well, I always thought that a veterinarian had to have a special way of picking up on animals, because that animal can't say I hurt here or I've got a bad headache or whatever. It's up to the veterinarian by virtue of their training and expertise to try to figure out what the heck is wrong with this dog or this cat or this calf. The large practice is entirely different from a small animal practice, but you have veterinarians in your practice that still do large animals.
We do, yes. Yep, we have 4 veterinarians that still practice on kind of a mixed animal basis. We see at the clinics, we see anything from cows and horses to cats and dogs to snakes. I don't see them personally.
You don't do the snakes.
No, I don't do the snakes.
No.
Dr. George will be happy to look at your snake, but I will turf that one for sure. But rabbits, guinea pigs, pretty much anything. And so, at all 3 of our locations, we're happy to get you scheduled to look at one top to bottom. We pretty much take care of them, so we're happy to do that. We're also excited to announce, I told you guys I had an announcement. If you guys were in small business for a while, we have 3 names for our locations: Greenhaven, Best Friends, and Prairie Haven and Sherman, and we are in the process of transitioning to one name, and we're going to be called Green Prairie Animal Hospitals, and we'll still have the same 3 locations and the same 3 service, but just for ease of getting all the business side of it done, the accounting and whatnot, we're going to be under one umbrella, which should make it a little bit easier. So look forward.
Is that one of Kay's ideas?
That was not, but our entire group of owners and families have been involved, and the entire clinic, we kind of put out there what we wanted to be called, and our entire clinic voted on it, all 3 locations, and we're trying to be just a little more unified, and so keep an eye out for Green Prairie Animal Hospitals. You heard it here first.
So if you start with the veterinarian at one clinic,
yep,
and it's really more convenient for you to go to a different clinic, the records would all be transferable.
Everything will be the same as before. We've seen people at whatever location. Sometimes there's a case that one of us has kind of been taking special interest in, and the customer will follow us, or if I've had people move, from one clinic to another just based on proximity. And so, but it'll be all the same as before. Same doctors, same everybody. No corporate mega clinic buying us or anything like that. We're just trying to make it a little bit easier on us when we're talking about it and seeing people and trying to get everybody together under one name, so a little more unified.
That makes a lot of sense. Doctor, when somebody gets a puppy as a gift, maybe they're not all that enthralled about getting that gift, but they still have responsibility. What would be your advice to a new pet owner, the first thing they would do, besides bring them for an examination, make sure the pet is sound?
Yep, the best thing you can do is try to find out as much as you can about that pet that you got, and try to keep everything as routine as possible. So if they had a certain food they were feeding at a certain time of the day, continuing that is going to be the most important thing, especially with young puppies and things, young kittens. Not overdoing it, making sure you do exactly what had been done before if they were taking care of it, and then you can transition to something different if you'd like. But that puppy or kitten or that adult dog that you're getting for the first time is going to be under stress already, and so being intentional about caring for it and trying to keep as many things the same and consistent as possible. So just that consistency is
have
important.
a consistency in time as far as what you do as far as a dog's routine is concerned.
Exactly.
Make sure that they follow through at approximately the same time, so it's not something new for that pet every day.
That's exactly right.
Well, I ran out of questions, Judith.
Well, you also ran out of time, bud.
Dr. Jason Wrage has been kind enough to spend some time with us. Now, the new name, sir, is for your
Green Prairie Animal Hospital.
Green Prairie Animal Hospital, formerly Best Friends, formerly Green Haven, and the place down in South.
Yep, Prairie Haven.
Yeah,
Yep.
Prairie Haven down in Sherman. So we appreciate you spending your time with us. People need to be smart about their animals. The animals can't do, it's an animal, and it's going to do what nature says for it to do. You're going to have to help train it. Dr. Wrage will be, and his cohorts out there, will be glad to assist you and help you at any time. Don't feel embarrassed about calling about what you think is a dumb question. They're there to help. Dr.
right.
Wrage, you have a following comment, sir?
I just appreciate it. Thank you very much, and hope everybody has a great day and a happy Independence Day weekend.
Be smart about your dogs. Thank you.
Thank you.